Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of RAU'S IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates.
Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper and are totally and equally relevant for your UPSC preparation. Articles dated 22nd of February 2022 are listed on your screen, and the timestamping for these articles is already given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article for the day. This article appeared on page number 6 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the issue of China's violation of international laws and how it has impacted India being its one of the most vulnerable neighbor. The author has talked about the violations of China regarding different laws, international laws, including the laws under the United Nations, the bilateral agreements between China and India, or even the World Trade Organization rules. But in the last, the author has also provided some of the solutions which are extremely good to be written in the mains examination as an argument. As far as the relevance of this topic is concerned, it is part of your international relations and India's relation with its neighborhood. So from this perspective of General Studies Paper 2, we will read this article. So before going into the solution itself, let us look into what are the basic violations made by China so far. So what China is doing? Well, China, first of all, as we know, is adopting the gradual expansionism. We have the examples of Belt and Road Initiative. We have the example of creating ports and defense establishments in South Asia. We have the examples of creating port cities or the industrial units in South Asia, which also includes the countries like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, which are neighbor to India. China is also looking for general expansion of its neo imperialism or neo capitalism in Africa. This expansion is also seen from the checkbook diplomacy which China is adopting in order to make countries vulnerable or as subservient to its command. Other side is that China is disregarding the international as well as the bilateral agreement. For instance, Article 3rd of 1996 agreement signed between India and China says that the two sides will reduce their armaments such as tanks, missiles, vehicles and others on the border areas. But you must be well aware that China over the past 1 decade is seen to be increasing the infrastructure, presence of their army personnel as well as the defense equipment such as armaments, tanks, vehicles, missiles and others. This was seen in the Chumbi Valley. This was also seen in recent clashes in Ladakh. There is another agreement which was signed between the two in 1993. It provides that neither side will use to threaten by the use of force. The boundary question will be resolved through peaceful and friendly consultation. But the Doklam or the Ladakh issue or the clashes has clearly shown that China is not willing to solve it through the peaceful manner, and they might become aggressive any time in the future and can backstep India on its international or bilateral relationship. China has also been violating the Article 1 of 1996 agreement, which says that there should be a confidence building measures between two countries to prohibit the use of military capability. We have seen in Wuhan and Mahabalipuram or Mamlapuram informal talks where both the leaders of these countries retreated towards confidence building measures. But there is no step which have been taken in this regard. China has been aggressive on India's border. China has been utilizing the cartographic aggression, showing Arunachal Pradesh to be part of its own territory. There was the issue of stapled visa also. And recently they have passed a law which is a border law that undermines Indian sovereignty on the international border. Not only this, China has been called for violating the Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter, which puts restrictions of using the force in the international relations and utilize the peaceful manner to resolve the international issues. Well, the case of the current Russian expansionism in Ukraine is also seen as a violation of this article. Lastly, China has been utilizing its dumping, predatory pricing, illegal subsidies activities to violate the WTO rules. However, at the same time, China is becoming one of the prominent of putting the liberal trade rules so that its exports can find places in the other economy. So it's like this. China put the illegal subsidy in its market, try to produce it at the lowest possible rate, dump that as an export in other countries, including India, African nations, and others. And when these countries raise the voice in the WTO, China does not show any evidence of providing the illegal subsidies because the functioning of the Chinese economy is still unknown to many international rules and agencies. Because of all these issues, India has been facing the hurdles in resolving the border crisis with China. China and India both are nuclear powers, and China is also the country which has violated the nuclear related agreements one after the other. So, what India should do? Well, India have these following three solutions as per the article and as per the author. The first one is that India should utilize the lawfare, international laws, their agreements, and time and again should target Beijing of violating these agreements on the international platform. So instead of fighting Beijing, what India can do that they can raise the violation of international rules in the international platforms such as United Nations General Assembly or in fact in the United Nations Security Council. India can also take the stand when any country blame India of being aggressive. And India can say that whatever India has done on the pretext of self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter to counter the Chinese misadventure. India also has a defense policy where India says that India is not going to attack the other country on the first instance. The third solution could be that India can bring its own security law, a separate legislation, which will allow the country to put restrictions or the sanctions of various kind. For instance, United States has CARTSA. So India can also bring a similar kind of legislation which will authorize the government to put sanctions and restrictions, trade restrictions, economic restrictions, or even the military restrictions. This law will enable India to bring contingency step and target the Chinese expansionist policies of violating the international rules and regulations. All these arguments are extremely good for you to write in the means examination or have a wider degree of understanding between the border issue of India and China. These solutions are also applicable on Pakistan. These rules are also applicable on other areas where the neighboring countries or the countries in the extended neighborhood is trying to threaten the Indian sovereignty. With this discussion in place, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article appeared on page number 12 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the acquisition or the discovery of the oil reserves by the company Crane in Bardmer. Bardmer is situated in the southwestern part of Rajasthan. A refinery is also coming up in this region, so this is an important area as well. The company is Vedanta Group, however, this is not important for the prelim examination. What is important for the prelim examination is the situation, that is, the location of different oil reserves in the country, the current status of oil production in India, how much India is producing, how much India is importing, and what is the burden on India's current oil production. We'll also look into some of the refineries and their location, which could be asked in the prelim examination in match the following. The relevance of this article is from General Studies paper 3 in mobilization of resources as well as the infrastructure. So refineries are part of infrastructure and oil reserves is part of resources. So we will read this article and analyze it from the perspective of prelim examination. India currently holds around 472 crore barrels of proven oil reserves that was claimed in 2016. And with this, India rank at 24th in the world, very below its requirement. India's current reserve is actually 2.9. You can consider it to be 3 times, that is 300% of India's current consumption. If India does not import from outside, India will exhaust all its oil reserves within 3 years. That is the reason why India is depending too much on oil imports from outside the country. India as of now consumes about 44 lakh barrels per day. And with this, India ranks third. So, as far as reserve is concerned, India on 24th. As far as consumption is concerned, India is on third. No surprise, this is the reason why India is the one of the highest oil importer country in the world. India is consuming only 4.6% of oil consumption despite being on the third position. India's per capita oil consumption is also very low compared to what is there in the European countries. The first and the foremost reason is being that India's oil energy is low. Why? Because of the higher dependence on coal and hydropower. The second thing being that India's population is utilizing morely the fuel efficient vehicles. And here, vehicles means mostly the two wheelers. Two wheelers are known for giving better mileage than the four wheelers in the country. India is currently producing only 10 lakh barrels per day. So the consumption is 45 lakh around and the production is only 10 lakh. That is the reason why as far as production is concerned India is on the 20th position. And because of these three reasons, that is low production, high consumption and low reserves, India is importing over 90% of its consumption in the oil. Now, reason for this being that the position of India is such that India's past has not been very active in producing the sedimentary rocks or sedimentary basins to the larger extent. As India was not part of the Asia since ages, so Indian subcontinent moved toward the Eurasia and Himalayas were formed, and after the Himalayas we saw the rise of Indo-Gangetic plain. Even the continental shelves across the Indian ports or Indian coastal area are also young. The oldest part, if you have gone through the geography, would be the Aravalli range in India, which is one of the oldest part, followed by what we have in the Deccan. As you can see from this map, the good quality of oil reserve could be found in the western part of Rajasthan, Jaisalmer and Badmer. Badmer was the area where the new discovery was made. Apart from this, we have the Mumbai High. Then we have the Krishna Godavari basin where oil and gas is abundant. And the third area is the northeastern part of India. However, this is less exploited because of the high percentage of forest available in this area. The second highest share comes from the Mahanadi basin, the Gulf of Kutch, and the Badmer Nagaur region of Rajasthan. And the least one comes from the Konkan region, the Saurashtra, and part of the Indo-Gangetic plain. As you can see from this entire map, majority of Indian area or majority of Indian territory is lacking the availability of good quality of oil, natural gas, or in some areas it is almost nil. This is the reason why India has been producing less oil because of the low reserves, and because of this there is a high import capability which India is facing. This is one of the reasons why India shows a continuous current account deficit year on year. Now, as far as the availability is concerned, you can learn it from this map. Now, the availability of oil also defines the location of the industry. Now, location of the industry is important for your general studies paper 1 geography section. So, as far as refineries are concerned, they will be situated near the source of oil. So if you go through this map is given by the Indian government itself and shows the different refineries across the nation. The highest number of refineries are under Indian Oil Corporation. But as far as size of a single refinery is concerned, this is under the Reliance industry, This is the world's largest refinery capability in India. Now, from this, you can easily deduce that the highest number of refineries are either situated in this area. Here, you will also have the refinery situated for Badmer. Then we have the refineries on the eastern coast as well as the western coast. These refineries are not actually closer to the source of the raw material, but they are on the coastal area because they are getting the imported oil. They get the imported oil, they refine on the coastal area itself and transfer the oil to their respective destinations. On the eastern side or the northeastern side, as we have discussed in the previous map, because of the high availability of the oil, there are the localized refineries. And the third type of refineries are seen in the northern part of India. So these refineries are not based on the imports, they are not based on the availability of raw material, they are simply based to meet or the cater the need of market. So from this map, you can easily see that there are four kinds of industrial location for refineries in India. Two being near the raw material, one being the market orientation, and the third one being import orientation. So this could be answered very well in your mains examination as well. With this, we'll move to one of the important aspects which was given in the article. The article is actually talking about the open acreage licensing policy. Now, what is this policy? Well, this policy got its name from the hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy that came in 2016 after replacing the new exploration licensing policy, also known as NELP, which was existing back then. The objective of this policy was to double the oil and gas exploitation in India by 2022-23, that is this year. The feature of this policy is extremely important for your prelims as well as mains examination. The first thing which is talked about is uniform licensing policy. Now, a company will be awarded a particular area irrespective of what they are exploiting. So whether they get oil, whether they get gas or the coal bed methane, it is not the concern of the government to look into it. What was the case previously? So government was allocating exploration, let's say, for oil only. And if the company finds gas, that creates the issues. Now there is a uniform licensing policy. A company will get one license irrespective of the product they are exploiting. The second benefit of this is there is a revenue sharing model. So government will share the revenue from the company irrespective of what is the cost of production. Previously, cost of production was also considered to be an important factor. Higher the cost shows lesser profit to the company, and as government was sharing the profit and not the revenue, government was turning out to be in a gross deficit mode. Now, whatever may be the cost, whatever may be the profit, government is not concerned about that. They will only share the revenue of the company and take the royalty out of it. Help is also focusing on marketing and pricing freedom, so companies are not worried about the government control on pricing their product in the market. They can market inside the country, they can market outside the country, they can keep their prices based on the cost of production, their profit margins, and other related aspects. It also talks about the open acreage, open area licensing policy, which was also part in the article. It simply means that company can select the blocks or the exploration blocks themselves. Earlier, it was the duty of the government. So government used to find out the blocks based on the research and development. And then they used to distribute this arbitrarily. That has increased the corruption, that has increased the nepotism, and also caused for collusiveness in the exploration and licensing policy. So government has replaced that, and now it is up to the companies to find out the blocks, go for the discovery, find out the oil, natural gas, and other resources, and go for their production. And lastly, this policy also calls for creating the national data repository. Data is the new oil. And here the data for the oil will be created. The amount of sedimentation bases in the country. As you can see from this map is based on the data collected on the sedimentation. So this kind of data is important for creating a knowledge base. That knowledge base will be utilized by these companies. It will create more exploration. More exploration means more output in the country and less dependence on the exports. With this discussion in place, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article appeared on page number 4 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the initiative taken by the government of Rajasthan with respect to the quality healthcare. Now, the article talks about the scheme of a particular state. It may not be asked by the UPSC in the examination directly, but you can utilize such kind of examples for your mains answer writing, where you can quote such good examples to substantiate your point as well as bring attention of the examiner to the quality of answer. The scheme actually is not a new scheme, it is just the upgradation of the existing program run by the government. The scheme is actually the healthcare scheme which is already functioning in the state of Rajasthan to the people of Rajasthan, and this time they are focusing more on the quality standards. And these quality standards will be provided through the primary and the community health centers across the state. Government has decided to set up 100 such primary centers which will provide quality healthcare standards. Now, this is one of the biggest issue or one of the biggest hurdle find in the Indian health sector under the public sector, that whatever establishments are there, the primary healthcare centers, the dispensaries and others, they suffer from the quality approach. There is a basic infrastructure, the cleanliness is not good, the customer service is not good, customer satisfaction is not good, there is an absence of staff, especially the doctors. So these kind of quality is missing in the public sector health delivery. Considering this situation, Rajasthan government has decided to create 100 such model primary and community health centers which will provide the top-notch international level of quality healthcare services based on the national quality assurance standards, which we will read very shortly. The people who are eligible under this program will always be including the citizens who are part of Rajasthan. They will be provided all the related primary treatment with quality. However, when it comes to the secondary and the tertiary treatment, as you know that these treatment cannot be provided the primary healthcare centers. That is the reason that these standards would further in the future will be expanded to large hospitals including the district hospital. So secondary, as far as secondary and tertiary treatments are concerned, they are free for those who are beneficial under Ayushman Bharat and or have Jan Aadhaar with them. Now eligibility in this case also, that is the primary case, is also provided to these people. So primary healthcare services, that is healthcare, health and wellness centers, which is also envisaged under the Ayushman Bharat, is part of the program which is expanded under this scheme. Now, this will be implemented through the National Health Mission of Rajasthan along with the Wish Foundation. It is an NGO which is functioning towards providing the quality health services across the nation. Now, the point is, what is Jan Aadhaar? This is a document which is provided to the people of Rajasthan, and this is a family based card. So it is more like an identity card for the entire family that has the database, their Aadhaar cards, their PAN card numbers, their basic details, whichever is available. So all kind of details of the beneficiary family is provided with this single card, and this single card was announced by the state of Rajasthan in 2019-20 budget. It has an objective to go for one number, one card, one identity for the entire family. This is created to provide the doorstep delivery of welfare services. For instance, if there is a father in the family who is going through a treatment, there is a mother in the family who is eligible for, let's say, ration. There is a child in the family or a children in the family who are eligible for the scholarships. Now, why not combine all these schemes through the single card so that the government can have one-stop information about the entire family? That is the reason why Jan Aadhaar was created, and it covers about 85 government schemes. This kind of example can be utilized for your mains examination, that other states can replicate such kind of programs to provide similar one-stop data collection and utilization for the welfare service delivery. Now, coming to the National Quality Assurance Standard, which will be utilized by the government of Rajasthan in order to bring the quality healthcare delivery. This is the basic standards that have been developed to meet the requirement of best global practices in the public health facilities, for instance, the primary healthcare centers. This is currently available for district hospitals, community health center, primary health center, and urban public health centers. Above this, that is state hospitals, national hospitals, private hospitals are not part of these standards. These are meant to provide the assessment of the quality for the improvement of the predefined standards and to bring facilities for certification. So the member from this quality assurance would visit the hospital. They would assess each and every part of the hospital, how services are delivered, what is the level of cleanliness, how all standards and rules are followed regarding the wastage, whether the customers or the patients who are getting to the hospital are satisfied or not, and other related measures. There are 8 criteria which are undertaken for defining the good standards, including the service provision, patient right, input, support services, clinical care, infection control, quality management, and outcome. All these standards are based on the ISQUA accredited and are based on the global benchmark. ISQUA, that is International Society for Quality Healthcare, is a non-for-profit community-based organization that is dedicated towards providing the quality improvement healthcare across the world. So NQSA is based on ISQUA, and these two standards will be utilized by the government of Rajasthan to bring better healthcare services. All these examples could be utilized by you for your mains answer writing when there is a topic of health in your general studies paper 1 with respect to society, and general studies paper 2 with respect to health and education. This could also be utilized by you in your essay paper whenever there is a topic related to the health is asked. With this, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article appeared on page 7 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the importance of mother tongue in creating nations and regions. The article actually talks about the creation of Bangladesh, the issue of Bengali as a problem, and the issue of Bengali as a language of minority. The article also talks about the similar instances in the states like Andhra Pradesh, which was created on the basis of language. Mother language or the minor languages has played a great role in creating nations and regions across the world. The bifurcation of Europe in smaller countries has the basis of language. Similarly, many states in India are created on the basis of language. For instance, Gujarat. For instance, Maharashtra. For instance, Tamil Nadu. And this importance of mother tongue has been given the high degree of protection from the United Nations itself. That is the reason why they have created the entire decade to protect the mother tongue across the world. This step has been taken in order to reduce the impact of globalization, interconnectedness, and overemphasize of English over the major regional languages, and to protect the indigenous and local languages simultaneously. For this, United Nations has created the International Decade for Indigenous Languages. Indigenous languages are the local languages that were developed. They have separate language grammar and sometimes even the script. These languages were developed in a localized area and spoken by the localized people only. However, there are certain languages which could be seen across the borders just because as a matter of adoption. This decade will start this year, that is 2022, and will be extended till 2032. It is created under the United Nations initiative to draw the global attention on the critical situation of many indigenous languages across the world, and also preserve, revitalize, and promote these languages. This initiative is an outcome of International Year of Indigenous Languages, which was taken up by the UNESCO. And this year, like any other annual event, United Nations has created International Mother Language Day. And this year's theme is using technology for multilingual learnings, their challenges and opportunities. Even in India, the new Education Policy 2020 has highlighted the importance of mother tongue and the indigenous or the regional languages till class 5. Because when a child is taught in their mother languages, their ability to remember, their ability to grasp knowledge, and their ability to develop the intellectual ability grows in a faster pace. This information is important for your prelim examination. And along with this, we will also read on the additional information related to the Atlas of World Languages which are in danger. In 2001, Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity was accepted to safeguard the linguistic heritage and also create many disseminated languages in the past. For this, UNESCO launched the Linguistic Diversity Network and has created an atlas which measures, highlight, remember, list down number of indigenous languages across the world. Some of the languages are spoken by just handful of people, even less than 100. And these languages are considered to be endangered. These endangered languages are further classified into 6 different categories. Well, that much of detail is not required for the UPSC. All you have to remember is that Atlas for Indigenous or the World Languages is created under UNESCO, which is functioning under the United Nations. And this language preserves and talks about and gives us the information about the endangered languages across the world. With this brief discussion on the indigenous languages, now we will move towards the question of the day. So this is your question of the day. Read this carefully and try to answer in the comment box. That's all for today's Daily News Simplified. Thank you.